WMS72 writes black privilege. Nothing else, by the way. That's it. Let's see what he's talking about. Let's see the video he's talking about. And if he has any merit. Or if he has blind spots instead. If you guys can hear it, or can't hear it, or need anything, let me know in the comment section. I got you.
For doing what? Y'all can't even tell me what I did. You can't tell me what I did. It doesn't matter, then I'm not going. You're yelling at him. You're keeping up everybody. Please leave so we can go on. I'm lifting on my jacket so you can put the cuffs on me. Because what did I do? I gotta put me through it. I gotta put me through.
Real quick, Darlamar, I know that you said you liked when I put that one in there. Every time I see it, it still makes myself laugh. So I don't know if that makes me a narcissist, but that clip is hilarious. I gotta put me first. I gotta put me first. That's exactly what she's doing. She believes she has more privilege than anyone else on that plane for whatever reason. Now, I would say maybe because she thinks that she's right. Or maybe because she thinks that she's always right. Or maybe because she's drunk. All right? I don't know. But she believes that she is worth more than everyone on that plane and is deserving of more rights than everyone on that plane. The black lady.
I'm lifting on my jacket so you can put the cuffs on me. Because what did I do?
Look at my dude. Poor guy. He's like, I can't take this.
Do it.
I just want to go home. I just want to go home, guys.
Miss what? I'm going to miss my flight for what? Who did I offend? Raise your hand if I offend everybody.
And then she says, raise your hand if I offended you. Who did I offend? You imbecile. You non-observant child. Look around. Who did you offend? There's 3 people in the shot on the phone that look offended. There's this guy. There's this black guy over here who's can't wait for you to go. And there's this guy who's pretending that he's staring at his phone, but if you look closely at his phone, there's nothing there. He's embarrassed for you. You're offending everybody. But unobservant, narcissistic people do not see that. They're right just because they're right. And they believe they have that privilege. I keep saying that word because I want you to understand. I understand where our friend is coming from. She believes she has more privilege. Let's finish it up. I'm not going to stop anymore.
What did I do to you? What did I say?
You should be offended yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself.
You should be ashamed of yourself. I love that dude.
I didn't.
You're doing it now, though. You tripping.
So now everybody gonna suffer.
I'm so important. Everybody has to suffer.
Because somebody, one person complained. So now what's up?
No, listen, you out your mother mind. I don't feel like no carrying ass. Good.
All right, I'm not going to replay my own talking. I already talked enough. You see that. You understand what happened. Both of you in the comment section have seen this whole thing, so I'm going to go past what I'm saying. And I'm going to show you the most important part. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm going to show you the most important part of my argument with the rest of this video. Hey guys, Team Box Did you see it? Marcy Collins, Darla Lamar, did you see it? You're smart. You know exactly what I'm getting at. No matter how much privilege she thought she had, the truth was in the pudding. The proof was in the pudding. The truth was in exactly what happened. She got her black ass arrested. I agree she should have been arrested. But I also know that those of you who watch this channel have seen that exact same thing happen, where even the girl slapped an old guy in the head, took his hat off. The other girl, the 3 police officers were arguing with her for hours while she was just being drunk and belligerent until they finally had to get her off. I've seen it to where the captain comes by, the stewardess comes by, and then later the police come by, and the lady or the man both still never leave in handcuffs because they're seen as like me or like them, just a drunk person. Now, I think they too should have been arrested. And I don't think that every time a black person does this, they would have been arrested. I'm just saying that if you're going to say that this woman has black privilege, at least find the one where she's not arrested to prove it. The act is not the privilege. The response is the privilege that you've gained or owed or received. And that is the blind spot of our friend, Mr. WMS72. And I'm going to wait till you hear what type of, he's like a horse with blinders on, the amount of blind spot this guy has. Because every time he starts talking about black privilege, he just starts mentioning black people doing bad things. As if that's the definition of privilege. Or if that's the case, then everybody has privilege. Because every race of person has done bad things and continue to. No, the thing is, it's a defensive response. When you just out of nowhere say black privilege, it's in defense to something you've heard a long time ago and felt bad about. And you're trying to find, in every instance you can, a way to defend against it. Because you thought that when someone said you had white privilege, that they meant you did something wrong. And it wasn't that. It wasn't. Your privilege, WMS72, comes not from anything that you did. You cover your eyes because it makes you feel better. The cognitive dissonance is too much. So, at your own unearned privilege, only someone who swims in that would see the black person getting arrested for acting like a Karen and say, the arrested black person somehow still has more privilege than me. Yikes. Yikes. It's sick. And it's not anything you did. It's not anything you did, WMS72. But it's what you've been swimming in. Instead of noticing it and coming together. Instead of noticing the atrocities or just the little problems, little problems that are around you, instead of noticing it, and then coming together with those people and building a community of difference. They have convinced you that somehow when anyone else has a right that they didn't have before, not a right that you don't have, but a right that they didn't have before, it somehow now has diminished your personhood. Your citizenship, your race. Because you were supposed to be on top? And when someone else becomes equal, now you feel less than. Well, yes, you're less than you were, if that's how you feel. Because now you're equal. But that's it. This is his response. Notice I had to type his response because for some reason, WMS72, for some reason, every time I saw him do a response, I responded to it and his would disappear. So it's imperative that I did this today. You guys are looking at my own personal studio because I learned a long time ago in this game, as soon as I see somebody like you start talking about black privilege or other types of foolishness that I know has a blind spot that needs to be corrected, and because I'm a loving, decent person, I want to correct it. I've learned that whenever I do see that, people, you know what I do? I screenshot and I copy and paste everything that I see. Where's my music? Where's my music? Where's my music? WMS72, all the stuff that was erased was already copied and pasted, so I could show everyone today that I did not erase any of these things you so-called think I did. Here, this is my music. I need my theme music. For instance, this is funny to me. For instance, Team Box Cutta, did you make my post disappear? Are you blocking me, infringing on my First Amendment rights? Say it with me, guys. Do it with me. Do it with me, guys. I didn't block you. Not only did I not block you, I have everything that you wrote. 6 hours ago, well, that was days, but I actually copied the amount of hours, and then 4 hours, and then 33 minutes, and then 16 minutes, and then 3 minutes. WMS72, you were erasing your own filth off of my channel because even with your blind spots, you could see that what you were writing was filth because you were getting destroyed by someone more intelligent than you. Now it's got personal because of your accusations. I do this with everyone who starts foolishness on my channel. I screenshot and copy and paste because so many of you cowards do this to me. So many of you. Let's get some choice selections before I go, guys, that he thought he erased, that I had to respond to. Shall we? Does that sound like fun to you guys? The arrested black woman obviously felt privileged before she got arrested. If she really feared oppression, is that what you were hoping for? If she really feared oppression, I thought we were talking about privilege, not the lack of oppression. Did you guys hear the flip? You see, she has black privilege because she doesn't fear oppression. What's wrong with us? What's wrong with us? She has black privilege because she doesn't fear oppression. That's where we are. Because that is the norm for you, WMS 72. You think she's uppity, not privileged. That's the wrong word. She's gotten too uppity for you is the real word, not privilege. because she was in her place before. But now that she's like every other person, white, black, or indifferent, who acts dumb on a plane of late for whatever reason, she has privilege because she's like the rest of us, when before she would have cowered in her oppression, in her place. You think I'm overstating it? Let's read the rest of it. If she really feared oppression, she would have sat quietly, as she probably would have if she had been in Singapore or Saudi Arabia, the other two places where they oppress women. A black lady TikToker named Sassy something or other, you don't need to know her name, she's not important, I know, just mouth off to a car clerk in Saudi Arabia, and she was surprised to find herself jailed. Well, I'm glad to know that we would love to live in Saudi Arabia. Sharia law? Is that what you're fighting for? WMS 72. Is that what you're fighting for? Or is it that you were just so happy to see a black person get arrested by another person of color that it made you hard? You couldn't wait to find a reason to put that foolishness on my comment section. WMS 72. It made you sweat a little bit. You got the vapors when you saw that. It made you feel so good to know that another black person was put in their place. That it didn't even matter that they were in Saudi Arabia under Sharia law. Am I making myself clear, people? And before I go any harder, let me just finish this. You skipped the unpunished malfeasance of BLM, who shot the honorable black man. But you have to cling to your hate. And then there's the switch. People, understand how degraded you have to be to say what this guy just said. See it as a point that he just won and say, I'm hanging to hate because I don't see the privilege of a black person being shot by BLM. Who had the privilege? The black person who was shot or the black person who did the shooting? Where's the privilege, WMS 72? What are you talking about? Were they arrested? Did he die? Where's the privilege, WMS 72? I fail to see it. And all of your bullshit, I fail to see it. And I'm not going to read it all because people don't need it all. What I am going to say is I'm reading the last one and my response to it. The black man who was killed was David Dorn, a retired St. Louis police captain, 77 years old, who lived an honorable life and was ruthlessly gunned down while standing outside a pawn shop. Is that the first time you cared about a black person being gunned down? Or is it because they were shot by another black person why you care that a black person was gunned down? Because in all of your other statements, it seemed like you would have rather him be in his place. More than 60 businesses were burglarized in St. Louis alone, while police were stoned with rocks and fireworks. AP News lists 17 cell phone stores, 9 beauty supply stores, and 8 pawn shops, 3 Foot Lockers burglarized, plus 7 property damage reports for ATMs and car dealerships. Even a church. Did you look to see what neighborhood that was in? because black people burglarizing other black people's businesses is a product of the system I'm talking about. Martin Luther King said, riots are the language of the people who cannot vote, of the people who cannot express themselves legally. Riots are the language of the oppressed. The black business owner who got robbed by other black people, which one had the privilege are you talking about? Do you want to help it, or do you want to gloat in it? Is the problem that someone robbed a store, or is the problem that they weren't killed for it? Where's the privilege? You didn't even know his name. You should listen to intelligent people like Candace Owens and Thomas Sowell, who just so happen to be the only black people who make money by telling other black people that there's no such thing as racism and they all need to pull their pants up and everything they did was their fault, including being killed in the street by a knee to your neck. That's what Candace Owens says. Isn't it funny that the only black person you listen to is the one who tells you you're right? WMS 72? Isn't it funny? The only black people you respect are the ones that disrespect black people every day. WMS 72, think about it. It's not your fault. They've pushed this on you. I'm animated because it matters to me, not because I hate you. The difference is you don't even know why you hate me. They've pushed this on you. Candace Owens, the same person who filed a civil rights complaint against her school before she joined Fox News to tell everybody that there's no such thing as civil rights complaints. She's making money off of your blind spot and digging into it with a spoon and eating it. And you feed it to her by closing your eyes again and again because it makes you feel good when she makes you feel better by telling you that it's the black person's fault and they're somehow more privileged, even in jail, than you at home. WMS 72? I have blind spots. Darla Mar, Marcy Collins, they heard me say it out loud. I'm willing to look in myself. I'm willing to listen to other people. Are you WMS 72? Do you find it funny, strange, that every instance you gave me of black on black crime, you called it privilege? Every instance you gave of people being robbed, vandalized, were black businesses, and you called it privilege. That's not funny to you? It's not interesting to you? Are you curious as to why that is the case, WMS 72? Are you curious? Or are you just going to feel better when Candace Owens tells you tomorrow that it's my fault that you feel uncomfortable right now, not yours? He goes on to say, Candace Owens told him that the police, this is his example of black privilege. He uses an arrow, the word black privilege and an arrow, to point, to make sure I know that this is what he's talking about, because he just made some amazing scholarly, scholastic point. All of these people were released. All of these people who robbed and threatened people somehow on God's earth were released. And Candace Owens thinks the revolving door of justice practiced for the black community only is to release black criminals back into the neighborhood to prey on them. And here's where it makes you feel good, WMS. She tells you this. But she observes too many blacks celebrate it and throw parties when their criminal relatives serve no time for their crimes. That's what she told you, huh? Let me see if I get this straight before I leave. Fact check. The racial and ethnic makeup of the U.S. prison continues to look substantially different from the demographics of the country as a whole. 2017, blacks represent 12% of the U.S. adult population, but 33% of the sentenced prison population. White people account for 64% of the population, but 30% of the prisons. Pew Research Center. Black Americans are incarcerated at nearly 5 times the rate of white Americans. Nonviolent crimes and drug crimes that they actually do at the same rate. Proven. But you let Candace Owens tell me again about how Candace Owens convinced you that black people are being let off to prey on themselves. Again. Explain the privilege offered due to their race, that they're allowed to let criminals back on the streets to destroy them. Is that the privilege you're talking about, WMS 72? Who's privileged? Even if it were true, your idea, your thinking is skewed. I don't like you because you erased messages and accused me of doing it. But I don't think it's if you hadn't have done that, this entire thing would still be just as animated, but not your fault. Candace Owens has ruined you because they put a black face on a feces robot. She told you that police let black people back into the neighborhood to prey on more black people, and you still somehow thought that was a privilege and not systemic, the system, racism, while describing systemic racism that's not even there.